Hey artists, today I want to go over some paintbrush care tips. We do a lot of painting in here, so it's very important that we take great care of our paintbrushes. I'm going to be using our Temper Cake paint to demonstrate with today. We're going to be using a lot of different kinds of paint here, but this is probably the kind that we are going to use most. It's our Temper Cake paint. It's great paint. I'm going to start with our round tip paintbrush. In order to use the round tip paintbrush with the Temper Cake paints, the first thing I do is dip my paintbrush into the water. Then I am going to get the paint on my paintbrush. I'm going to use the green so you can see this a little bit better. Now even when I'm getting my paint off of the paint palette, I am using just the tippy tip, or you can see I'm kind of going around with the sides of my paintbrush a tiny bit, but I'm being so gentle, it's almost like I'm tickling that paint. Then when I transfer paint onto my paper, I'm going to be using just the tippy tip once again to paint. You can see I can paint back and forth a little bit. These are really nice strokes, and I love this round tip paintbrush. That's our round tip. Moving right along, this is our flat tip paintbrush. This is actually my favorite kind of paintbrush. Once again, I'm dipping in the water first, and then I'm very gently getting my paint off of my paint palette. Very gentle. It's like I'm tickling it. I'm not mashing, I'm not scrubbing. And then when I paint, even though I've got just the flat tip on here, I'm still using just the tip or the edge of that paintbrush, very gentle. And you can see the flat tip paintbrush makes that nice wide stroke. I love that. Again, my favorite kind of paintbrush. Another thing you can do with that flat tip paintbrush is you can turn it to the side and you can do a nice thin line. Very fun. Oh, you can even do lines like this with that flat tip. But notice I am using just the tippy tip, and I am being very gentle with it. Finally, we have the fine tip round paintbrush. This is really for our older artists in here, but same thing, same concept. Especially with these guys, you're going to be using just the tippy tip of that paintbrush. Very important for these, because these can easily get damaged. You can see that that tip looks nice and sharp. It's not sharp, it's a paintbrush, it's just hairs, but it looks nice and sharp. That's how you want it to look. And look at those fine precision lines, and you can do all sorts of things with this. This is great for detail work, guys. Whoop. All right, so those are our paintbrushes and the basic shapes of paintbrushes we're going to be using in here. I do want to show you an example of what not to do. These are two round tip paintbrushes. Look at these guys. These are really sad paintbrushes. They have been hurt. If you do not take care of our paintbrushes, if you do not use the paintbrushes the way that you're supposed to, we'll be happy to hand you one of these guys to paint with. I don't want to have to do that, but if you can't take care of our paintbrushes and you're causing this kind of thing to happen to them, then this is what you're going to paint with, okay? And let me show you how this ended up happening. So this artist probably scrubbed and mashed, and then scrubbed and mashed and painted like that. See how the hairs of the paintbrush are sticking out like that? That's a really sad paintbrush again. Do not let that happen. Same thing, let me get my, this is my damaged flat tip paintbrush, and you can see how it's kind of gone out like that. You'll never be able to paint a little thin line like that with this paintbrush again. And so this artist probably mashed down and mashed down like that. This is not okay. This is not good paintbrush use. All right, guys, that's how we're going to take care of our paintbrushes. I know you're going to do a great job. Thanks for listening.